Today's show is all about the Detroit Lions minicamp that's taking place here right now. A lot to talk about, observations that we need to pay attention for this up-and-coming camp here as we're rolling closer to training camp and, of course, the pivotal season in 2025. So we're going to get into it. Let's get this thing started right now. I do not want to jinx it. So smash that like button. If you do that, we get a ton of likes. I tell you what, the Lions will have a successful season. We get into these observations here, and there's plenty to talk about and discuss in observations that's going to be taking place. So I got my top 10 list here of things that we need to be watching for minicamp. First here is attendance, obviously. It's always important to see who is there, who is not there. Now, look, thankfully for the Detroit Lions, we're an organization that's really set in stone and standard, and players will actually show up as they're not going to be doing holdouts. Why? We pay our guys, and they like to be here. So if there's individuals that are not here, it has really nothing to do with, in my opinion, the organization. Maybe it's a family matter or something that's urgent. So this is just to see who's there and making sure that everything is good to go for those players. And this kind of puts on to the next subject here, very close, of injuries, right? We need to know who is injured for the Detroit Lions. And, there's been a plethora of players on this team that's has some injury histories, right? Frank Ragnow is an individual that we don't really need to at all to care about what he does in minicamp. We know he's good to go, so if they rest him, don't even worry about it. It's more of players like Emmanuel Moseley, right? Is he actually up to par? The players whom we drafted, are they all good? All our starters, can they stay healthy before minicamp, throughout minicamp, and the end of it for our football team to be good to go? But I got a question for you. Will Terrion Arnold start week 1? Why for yes and for no? Let us know in the comments below. The next one on my list here when I look at observations, things we need to pay attention to, is the cornerback fight. Now, I'm not talking fights on the field. I'm talking about the battle that they're dealing with right now. We got a ton of new corners. The whole positional group has been changed. In OTAs, we've seen it was Carlton Davis and Terrion Arnold starting, out there for the Lions defense, and they actually looked really good. That is a good thing, right? So who else is out there? We got Amik Robertson we got to talk about. We got Emmanuel Moseley we got to talk about. Ennis Rakestraw, who is all battling for this cornerback position, this pivotal position for the Detroit Lions. And I think something that we really need to see before the week 1 of the regular season is, can all of these guys get together and start to coexist and gel as one unit? It takes a little bit for new individuals to get on the same page. And we're talking about a positional group that's been completely revamped. A lot of new players to the system. Ennis Rakestraw, Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, Amik Robertson. These guys don't know the system until they came here, and so they got to learn it. So can all these guys gel slowly? That's what we'll be watching here at minicamp. Hopefully it continues. Next one I have on my list is the year 2 players. Some of these players we already know who are good, right? It's not the big names of Sam Laporta or Brian Branch or Jahmyr Gibbs. I think we're all comfortable. For me, I'm very comfortable that they're all right. We get to see how they progress. More of the players of how can Jack Campbell take the next step, right? Jack Campbell, who a lot of people is going to think is going to have a breakout year this year, it's his sophomore year. Can he take that next step? I agree. I think he can. But we still got to watch that here in minicamp, right? We got to see the evidence. Then you got Colby Sorsdale, who really, I want to see if he's taking the next step. Is he progressing? Because he had a rough year last year. So that's really important to see. And there's all these new offensive linemen. So if he's not taking that next step, he's got to worry about his job a little bit. Not as much because it's only year 2, but a little bit because now we're having a positional group of the offensive line that even the backups are pretty darn good. So that is a problem right there. And of course, Broderick Martin. Broderick Martin is one of the players everybody is keeping an eye on. He completely changed his body type to a more physical, built, structural, more muscle to compete for this season. Can he maintain this now? Can we see production on the field, right? This is a minicamp. This is not OTAs. Now we can start to garner a little bit upon this defensive line and kind of see, is the, what we've saw in OTAs, the speed from Wingo and all these other individuals on the defensive line, can they actually now show it a little bit more in this minicamp where you actually can kind of judge a little bit compared to OTAs? I got a question for you. How many yards will Jameson Williams have in 2024? 0 to 2,000. You put in the number in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Next here is the rookies, of course, the Detroit Lions rookies, right? We know what we saw in OTAs. Terrion Arnold was looking really good. Can he do it now in minicamp? Can he continue to build upon that, right? You go up, up, and up. This guy is smart. He's intelligent. Can he take that step? Ennis Rakestraw battling with Amik Robertson in the nickel. We love, Ennis Rakestraw. We want to see some production this year. Now, look, I don't think he's going to be a starter, but I think he's going to be situational, so we need to watch that. And, of course, Giovanni Manu is probably the rawest prospect on this team, but he is built like Superman or the Hulk. Can he start to, slowly gain some momentum and gain some path towards looking a little bit less raw, his development? So we want to see that. So the rookies, we cannot wait to watch them progress. We know who did good in OTAs. Now we got to see if it continues in minicamp. Next on my list here for the number 5 thing that I'm looking for is the wide receiver 3 battle. We all been talking about it all off season. Now in minicamp, it can take that next step, right? There is a lot of individuals fighting for that spot right now. 2 for me that are the main ones of Khalif Raymond and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Who is going to take this spot by the horns? It's actually this is going to be a really good battle because you got 2 receivers that are completely different from each other, yet they're battling for the same position. One is the bigger body guy, the outside X, typical for the NFL. The other guy is a smaller 5'8", speedy guy, but the guy literally can play the X. It's the weirdest thing because he's fast, he's got great vision, he's got fantastic hands. It's going to be a fun battle to watch. Whoever loses that battle, I'm not ripping on because it's going to be a good one for sure. The kicker battle for sure, man. Oh, you got Michael Badgley right now who's done pretty good in OTAs. Really good, right? And you got James Turner who's starting to look a little bit better as well. He's the undrafted player. Who's going to win this battle? Jake Bates, he's not signed yet from any team or anything. If he does, then he'll get thrown to this battle. But it's going to be fun to watch, and I've been telling people for a while that don't discount Michael Badgley. He's a mid kicker, and the team likes him. Of course, they want competition, but it's a real battle here. It's not given to anybody right now, so it's a legit battle. They're going for it, and I can't wait to see who wins. Number 3 that I'm looking forward here is Hendon Hooker himself. This is what I'm probably watching for the most here in this, a training camp, in this minicamp preseason as well, is the development of Hendon Hooker. I see a lot of people wanting to get rid of him and trade him, and I see these comments. I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to do really well, and he's going to be a cheap backup. But we need to see his development, right? Because he is the backup to Jared Goff. And guess what, folks? If Jared Goff gets injured, we want to see how well our quarterback is going to do in Hendon Hooker. More snaps you get, the better, and I think in preseason he's going to get a ton of snaps. You're probably not going to see a lot of Jared Goff, and that's for a good reason. Question for you here. Who is going to be wide receiver 3? Donovan Peoples-Jones or Khalif Raymond? DPJ for Donovan Peoples-Jones, KF for Khalif Raymond. The number 2 on my list here is the undrafted rookies. And we talked just about the rookies, but the undrafted rookies are people as well. And there's one in particular that I'm really watching. There's a couple centers too, right? But they didn't really show a lot. We'll see. I didn't think they had a really big shot to make the team, but we'll see, right? Mine is more of Isaiah Williams, the wide receiver, because he looked good in OTAs. He's a really good, he's an excellent route. He's an absolute excellent route runner. He is. That's the big part of his game, his ability to run routes. So he's not the fastest guy in the world, but can he make this team? Can he make an impact? Can he jump the wide receiver depth chart? Who's going to be with the ones, right? These are the things that we're going to be watching for, and there's always one undrafted guy who makes the team. Lastly, and surely not least, my number one thing that I'm watching for in observations here is going to be the defensive line. We didn't really get to see a whole lot in OTAs. Why? You didn't really get to see a lot. Now you get to see a little bit more, and this is something I want to see is penetration. DJ Reader. I want to see Broderick Martin. I want to see John Kaminsky, Marcus Davenport, Betts, all these guys. Who is going to stand out opposite of Aiden Hutchinson? The biggest question we've all been wanting to find out as of late is who is going to be the guy? And right now, we just don't know. So is what I'm watching for the minicamp. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell. With that said, folks, adios.